Hello, and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. I know, not everybody really wants to talk about the Bears right now, but we do. We do. Um, we haven't talked in a week. I talked to you last Friday after that terrible game where we could only score one touchdown, and the Bears should have won that game, and we all know it. I've said from the beginning of the season, if you watch me regularly, that it is going to be an up and down season. It's going to be a tough one this year because we're rebuilding. We've got all new coaches. Everything's new this year. And there's a lot of rookies on this team, and Justin has a lot of improvement to do. But I also said I'd be happy with the ups and downs if they improve every week, if I see improvement. Now, I have seen improvement on parts of the Bears, like the defensive backfield, those rookies, number 6, Gordon, and number 9, Brisker, awesome. These guys were great pickups in the draft. And I'm seeing some progress there, but on the offense, we're not. And that's what's frustrating. And and the things that really bothered me is they should be beating teams like Washington. They should have beaten Giants, even though the Giants are 5-1 now, if you can believe it. But they should have beaten them. I'm sorry, but they should have. And that's the things that I wanted to see happen, but they didn't. We're not going to go all over that game again. So I'm going to move on, and I'm not going to sit here and bash Justin today. We all know Justin Fields has a lot of work to do. The offense has a lot of work to do. The offensive line has a lot of work to do. So we're just going to, we're not going to beat that dead horse today. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go over all the stats for the game for Monday night. We play on Monday night. We play New England. The Bears are 2-4, as you know, and New England is 3-3. So, and we're very comparable in a lot of areas. So this is not also, I think, a beatable team. This is not New England of the past. This is a New England. I think they're beatable. And unfortunately, right now, we're not really sure which quarterback we're going to get for New England. I think it's going to be Mac Jones. But as of when I'm doing this show, I couldn't find anything to confirm or deny that. But the Bears seem pretty healthy, so we'll see. So let's talk about the New England game. Let's talk about the stats I give you on Fridays, talk about all that. And then at the end of the show, we're going to go a little lighter, okay? So the Bears on Monday night, their record is terrible since Monday Night Football started in 1970. The Bears are 26-35. Yeah, I know, right? So that's why I don't like the Bears playing at night. I just like to see the Bears right now play during the day, but it is what it is. And New England and the Bears have played 14 times, with New England well ahead of us. They've won 10 and the Bears have won 4. The last time the Bears beat New England was in 2000. And that was the last time they beat them, except for when they beat them in 1985 in the Super Bowl. But the last time they beat it was in 2000. So we got to change that today. Monday. We have got to change that. And the other thing is about this game is Bill Belichick is tied with George Halas for the most wins at 324. He tied him last week when he got his win. If they win Monday night, he passes George Halas for 325 wins. We don't want that to happen against the Bears. I don't. I would like to see him break that record in 2 weeks after the Bears leave town. You know what I mean? So the Bears have got to stop that. We do not want to have George Halas's record broken against the Bears. Come on, guys, right? So maybe that'll put a little oomph in their step. Probably not. I don't even know if they know that, but I hope they do. So let's talk about the Bears and New England. Let's compare the team stats. So the Bears, in passing, the Bears are averaging about 122 yards a pass. Terrible. They are dead last, number 32 in the league. New England is averaging 223 yards passing, and they're 19th in the league. The Bears are rushing for an average of 170 yards a game, and they're second in the league. I know, that's awesome. I like to see that continue on Monday night. I really want to see Herbert and Montgomery get going, and that will help Justin as well. New England, they're averaging, they can run too, they're averaging 131 yards. They're 10th in the league. The Bears, points scored, they're not last, but they're second to last. They're averaging 15 points a game. Really? This is the freaking NFL Bears, and they're 31st in the league out of 32 teams. New England is averaging 23 points a game, and so that puts them at 11th in the league. As far as the defenses go, the defenses for the Bears, they have allowed teams to score an average of 19 points a game. That puts them at 21 in the league, 21st in the league. And New England is giving up 18, and that doesn't even make any sense. I know, wait a minute. You know, sometimes I write this stuff down and I'm wrong. It must be flipped. So, New England is 21st in the league, scoring, allowing 18 points a game, the other team to score, and the Bears are allowing 19, and that puts so New England's 21st, the Bears are 25th, so they're even in that category. Really, New England just beats us in the pass right now offensively. And they score more points than we do too. But so I mean, it's not overwhelming, but still, the Bears' defense, New England's got us on that one. The Bears' defense has 11 sacks. New England has 17. So the offensive line better be ready because they're coming. 17 sacks. The Bears have 5 interceptions. The New England has 6 interceptions. We're close there, but this is where they get you. They have the Bears have caused 11 fumbles, but they've only recovered 3 out of the 11. If you're going to cause the fumbles, it does you no good to cause a fumble if you don't recover it. So they've had 11 instances where they could have gotten 11 recoveries, but they only got 3 out of the 11 fumbles. New England has caused 6 fumbles and recovered all 6 of them. So New England has basically 12 turnovers, and we have 8 on our defenses because they have 6 interceptions and 6 fumble recoveries. We have 5 interceptions with 3 recoveries. So the Bears, you've got to, you know what, if you're going to I love that they're trying to punch out the ball, but two things. If you're going to punch it out, recover it, and make sure while you're punching it out, you're also making sure you tackle that guy. Don't make the punch out more important than getting the tackle. Very important, because sometimes I've seen the Bears do that where they're so consumed with trying to get a fumble that they don't tackle the guy, and he gets more yards. So very important. So, and the offensive line has got to be the offensive line, because they have 17 sacks, and the offensive players have got to be aware these guys cause turnovers. So we cannot be sitting on our laurels here because they're going to come to play. And we're playing in New England, so, they don't lose much at home. Even though this isn't the New England team of old, they don't lose much at home. That is just a fact. So it would be really sweet if the Bears could go in there. Now, Justin has got a lot of work to do. There's these really good, I wanted to tell you guys, there's these really good YouTube shows on Justin. Kurt Warner does it, and he breaks down the good of Justin Fields and the bad. There's 2 of them, good and bad. And he's showing you what he's not doing or doing wrong. And in the bad, the thing is, he's showing you that there's been so many times where Justin, when a quarterback, as you all probably know, and maybe not, when a quarterback throws that ball, more than half the time, the receiver isn't even open yet. That's the trust of a quarterback and a receiver. He throws that ball and he's trusting that the receiver's going to be open in that spot where that ball is going to be. And that's what makes good quarterbacks and good receivers, the duo. And Justin, in on these tapes and this that Kurt Warner does and breaks down, is he's not releasing the ball. And there's been so many times where he'll show you that it's there. The play's there. The guy is going to be open, if not open, and he just doesn't pull the trigger. And Kurt Warner says, I don't know why. What's going on? Is he afraid? Is he, is he not confident? Is he not confident in himself? Is he not confident in the receiver? But he's just not releasing that ball. And there's so many times, and then he takes off or he gets sacked. So he's got to start making decisions quicker. As I said last week, I think I said it on this show. I'm doing 2 shows now, so I get mixed up what I say where. Pick gold, remember that. But Justin holds on to the ball the longest in the NFL and then has got to stop. He has got to start pulling the trigger. And there was so many reasons why, and only the Bears and Justin know. But I was mentioning on the show that I do the podcast with Dan, the lowdown with Dan and Lynn on Wednesday nights, that Justin, I think they should be putting him in the film room and just sitting there and pointing out the good and the bad, but you got to work on the bad right now because that's overwhelming. And he's got to study it, and that quarterback coach, he should be sitting down with him and tell him this, on the film, release it. So Justin, he says he's getting tired of losing. He's tired of being close in these games. Hey, man, we get it. I'm sure the Bears are tired of that, but the fans are more tired, okay? It's been a long time, and it's been a long time since we've had a quarterback, and you can argue we've never really had a quarterback that has sustained with the team and wins consistently. We just haven't. And we want it so bad, Justin and Bears. We want it so bad. It's time. We have waited a very long time. So, last year they dangled this in front of us. Ooh, quarterback. Well, it has gone nowhere so far. So, there's a lot of people that saying a lot of stuff, he's not going to be able to do it. The regime, the coaches and what aren't happy because they didn't draft him, I hope Justin's not listening to that noise, and you people out there don't listen to that noise. We've got a whole season here to go. We've got quite a few games left, and we'll talk about it at the end of the season where his progress is. But he has to start releasing those balls. He's got to start trusting himself, and he's got to start trusting the receivers. That's the bottom line, to start making good plays. And he can't, like he did on the Thursday night game, he's got a tight end wide open. It was a great play called by Luke. I don't get it. That's what I call him. The offensive coordinator. He called a great play. And they were on, the 5-yard line, and then the tight end went out, Griffin, and all Justin had to do was just lob it, and he overthrew him. The guy was wide freaking open. So those are the kind of things that he's got to work on. I mean, they have got to improve for us to see progress each week, and it's got to start on Monday night, and it's got to be consistent. We've got to get that offensive line figured out. I don't know what's going on with Lucas Patrick, why he's not at center. We know he broke his hand in camp. He's playing guard, but he's awful at it. He's a center. And the Mustafa, who was playing center for him, is not a center. He should be at guard. So if we could get those guys flipped and get them where they belong, it might help the line up. And Jenkins, our problem child, has been really doing well. So, the line's got to improve greatly to give and that's the other thing, is Justin is tied with Carson Wentz, who we played last week, for being sacked the most in the NFL, and he's been sacked 23. He's the most in the NFL at what does it say, 23? 23 times. And it's got to stop. It has got to stop. You can't, um, you know, it's going to get in his head. So let's hope that we get this line going. Let's get the running game. The running game has been great. We want to continue it. The only thing I will tell you about last week's game that I did not like, and I'm not going to keep talking about last week's game, but this is why I'm not a big fan of Luke doesn't get it. The OC. When again, we're down on the 2-3 yard line last week, and he could have done a quarterback sneak under center, not in the shotgun like he did many weeks ago, or instead he hands it off to Herbert. Now, Herbert is a great runner. He's fast and he can get out of the way, but he's not a bruiser where he's going to knock guys down and run through them. That's what Montgomery does. So Montgomery should have gotten the ball on the 2 yard line to go in for a touchdown. I don't understand it. He is bigger and stronger. And the other thing that I see, I watch a lot of football. The other thing I see, and I don't know why the Bears players don't do these offensive line guys are, half the time they're standing around after the play is already in progress, and even receivers or anybody, is I see it more and more, is that when they're down on the goal line, guys that aren't in the plays get behind who's ever got the ball, and they push him with everybody else, and they get into they push the pile, and they get into the end zone. The Bears don't do that. They used to do that years ago. They don't do that anymore, and I love that play. It's like everybody's pushing. These guys that are, once the ball has been snapped and the runner is trying to push through, get your fucking linemen and receivers or whatever and push the receiver into the end zone, for crying out loud. So, so many things. And our defense has got to be on their toes because Mac Jones is a good passer. I didn't put the comparisons this week because I didn't know who was going, as of this recording, I didn't know who was going to be the quarterback. The rookie and I don't know, he's got a weird name for the New England, or Jones, Mac Jones, who actually in the draft last year was picked up right behind us. Justin went at 11, and Mac Jones went to New England at 12. So they were right there with each other. I like Mac Jones. He looks like he could be somebody good in the future. He is banged up, so I don't know. So I didn't put their comparisons because I didn't know who was doing it. So the defense has got to be on their toes, and they had no turnovers last week. By their defense. So we have got to get turnovers. Like I said, if you're going to punch it out, get the recovery and get some interceptions. That will really help our offense a lot. So that we need that. We got to get back on getting some more turnovers. That's really huge. And I know it's possible because we've got a good secondary. I'm really liking the back half of the Bears defense. What's hurting the Bears right now defensively is our defensive line. We're a 4-3 now, where you've got 4 guys on the line and 3 linebackers, where under Nagy we were 3-4, where you had 3 defensive linemen and 4 linemen, linebackers roaming around behind you. And our defensive line isn't really that strong. I mean, Quinn's doing nothing. So we got to get that going, too. We have got to get these guys rocking and rolling. Each week they get a little bit better because they're playing with each other, but we got to keep it going. So the Bears, so my threes to win this game, I say it every week. Penalties. You got to keep them 5 or less to be in the game or to win the game. The Bears are doing very well with penalties. There's only one game this season that they really had I think the most they've had in a game was 8 or 9. And last year, we were in double digits quite a bit. So this is a huge improvement, and I love it because I hate penalties. I watch so many games, and I see so many drives stopped, called back, touchdowns reversed, and momentum changers. Penalties suck. So the Bears got to keep it to 5 or less. They got to win the time of possession. As I say every week, it keeps your offense on the field. It keeps your defense off the field. It keeps their offense off the field and their defense on the field. So you want to do that. And Bears, listen loudly. When you're touching the damn ball, you need to score. Okay? 7 points. And thirdly, turnover battle. You got to win the turnover battle. You win these three, you've got a damn good chance to win that game. If not, win it. So I say these are the three important things every week. So, and it's true. Very, very true. And the Bears have only, the games they won, they've won those battles. So it's important. And it, on paper, you can see it's the truth. So we got to do that, okay? So that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about the game. You know, what we got to do, what we, to win this game. I'd like next Tuesday to be sitting here talking to you guys and just being giddy over how well they played. I don't care if they win by 1 point. I just want them to win. It will help all the Bears. It'll help the rookies. It'll help, all of them. Justin, everybody needs a win here after that last Thursday night debacle. It's just, I don't even know what he would have said to the team when he went in there after the game. What does a coach say to a team after a performance like that? You suck? Because that's the truth. I love my Bears, but, I will also speak the truth about it. So, we'll see what happens. We don't have a great record on Monday night. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will be doing the game. So we'll see how that goes. Thank God it's not Chris Collinsworth, that jerk. So we'll see. I don't know. Every week I go in with a positive, I got a feeling this is the week. I really thought last Thursday was going to be it. And it started out. It looked like it was going to be, and then it went, woo, that ship sank pretty quick. Quicker than the Titanic, I'm saying. So, excuse me. So, we know what we got to do. So, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit because everything has just been so, not so good so far. So, I thought, seeing how we're playing New England, why don't we talk about the 1985 season with the Bears when they won the Super Bowl. They went 15-1 and beat New England 46-10. Now, I am not one of these Bears fans because I am old and I've been watching them a long time, since 1975, as I told you, who, is still living off the laurels of the 1985 season. I'm not. But it was a fantastic season. So let's just go back and talk a little bit about it. I mean, the Bears were 15-1, and they were just, that defense was ferocious. You can't play defense like they did in this game now, in this era of football. It just doesn't happen. But I'm telling you, those guys were just downright mean. I mean, quarterbacks in the league and running backs were afraid of the Bears defense. And the Bears defense in that season knocked out more quarterbacks than any other team has done in since. Before and since. They just did. They were just so dominant, and they were so freaking fun to watch. And the offense was also fun to watch because they could score points. You had McMahon. That year was his 15 minutes of fame, because after that we all know pretty much happened. The next year he got hurt. When Charles Martin did that terrible illegal, he threw him down and he punctured his lung, and that's why quarterbacks wear those jackets or those things around their lungs and ribs, is because of what happened to McMahon. So, but McMahon, that 85 season, and the Bears, Willie Gault, the receivers, Walter Payton, everything clicked. It was just phenomenal. I was in my mid-20s, married, mid-20s, and that season, we had so much fun. Now, the Bears, I did get a little pissed off at the Bears in December because they did that stupid video, We Are the Bears, that, I forget what it was called, but I wouldn't even watch it. I did not watch that video until after the Bears won the Super Bowl. I was refusing because it was way too cocky for them to be doing it. And the Super Bowl Shuffle, that's the name of it. And I would not watch, and I did not until after the season. And I was really mad at them for doing it. I thought, you're going to fuck this up, Bears. You're going to fuck it up. And when they went to Miami, and Miami Dolphins, besides the New England Patriots, had a perfect record, 16-0 in the late 70s, I believe. And so we went into Miami that year. We were undefeated, and Miami did not want to give the Bears that record. So they beat them. As pissed as I was that the Bears lost because we were doing so well. On the other hand, I was happy because it brought the Bears back down to earth. Like, okay, assholes, you can be beat. And, I didn't want anything to ruin this. I mean, in November of that year of 1985, I started getting a feeling. So I went up to my boss and I said, I need the next day, January 26th off. And he's like, well, the year's not over. I don't even have that calendar started yet. And I said, well, I don't care. I'm calling that off first. And that was the day after the Super Bowl because it was on the 25th. And he's like, okay. So I already knew I had it off. And I figured, well, if the Bears didn't go to the Super Bowl, I'd go to work, right? But thank God, because I ended up having a 2-day hangover from that Super Bowl party. We had some close friends over. It was my husband's birthday to boot, and we just had so much fun. And I was pissed at the Bears, like I said, because, they, I didn't want them to ruin it. And just because they had to come back down to earth. Just because you go 16-0 does not mean you're going to win the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, New England, who were playing back in 2007, they went 16-0 and then won their two playoff games. So they went 18-0. Excuse me. But they ended up losing the Super Bowl to, it was a very good Super Bowl to New York that year. So you could go a perfect season. That doesn't mean a beans of shit because you could still lose. Because I've always tell you, anybody can be beaten. And so New England will tell you. And I was really mad at the Bears for being all that. As a matter of fact, the Bears should have won they should have won the Super Bowl in the next season. They should have gone to the Super Bowl and won that too, because they were that talented. But they were so full of themselves. They were all doing commercials and this and that, and Ditka did the most of them. So he's really to blame. He should have had that team reeled in and said we could do back-to-back Super Bowls, and the Bears should have. And they let their heads get too big, and that's why they didn't win a second Super Bowl, and they should have. But it was great. It was in New Orleans, and it was so much fun. Like I said, we had our friends over, and the funny thing is, it was reported, and you could tell when you looked out on the roads. They said nobody was on the streets that day, that late afternoon into the evening when the Super Bowl was going on. Everyone in Illinois was home watching the Bears cream New England 46-10. I mean, their quarterback was afraid of the Bears. You could see it in his face. It was hilarious. And, the game was going on, and, I was so superstitious. And so, so my friends are over, and my husband had made these 2 tapes, cassette tapes, which some of you might not know what that is. And he recorded a bunch of songs. And so on one of them, it was If the Bears Win, and the first song was by Queen, We Are Champions. And if we lost, there was another tape with a Beatles song, and for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was, but he was going to play that song. We ended up, and everyone kept saying, "Let's put on the music." What? And no one knew what Bill was going to. I knew what he was playing, and everyone was like, "Come on, we got to hear it." And there was like 3 minutes left in the game, and it was probably 46-10 then. And I'm like, "Nope, the game's not over. Everybody, shut up until that clock hits 0. I don't want to hear a peep." Everybody was laughing at me because the Bears had won the game. It was over. And we were all getting hammered. And, oh, my God, we had so much fun. And when that thing hit 0, we went nuts. And my husband put on We Are the Champions. We were singing and dancing and everything. And then as the night was going on, so we had champagne. We bought champagne. And we bought the plastic champagne glasses, with the stems. And now, a lot of people won't know this because unless you're my age, and depending on what kind of movies you watch, but the older generation will know what I'm talking about. Back in the 40s and 50s when they did movies, a lot of times, and I don't know why, it'd be a dramatic scene, and somebody would take a glass and whip it into the fireplace or throw it across the room, right? And I always thought that was so cool. So why, I don't know. I'm a weird lady, right? So at this Super Bowl party at our house, we all had the plastic glasses with champagne, and we were all partying. And I was standing next to my friend. I said, "I've always wanted to do this." And I took the champagne glass and I whipped it across the room, and it went right by my husband's face. And me and my girlfriend were laughing, and he stands up. He goes, "Who just threw this glass with champagne in it?" And everyone's like, and then me and my friend look at each other, and I go, "I did." He's like, "What did you do that for?" And everybody just died laughing. We had so much fun. And then we actually turned it into a birthday party for my husband. But it was just the coolest thing to experience and be a part of. And then the next day, the Bears come back from New Orleans, and it's January 26th. And it was, I want to say, 5 to 10 degrees out. And they took the buses, and they drove them down State Street. I think it was State Street in Chicago, whatever. And there was tons of office buildings, and people were working. Well, they found out about this, and all the people, they just cut up paper, they got confetti, they made their own confetti, a lot of these people in these office buildings, and they opened the windows, and it was freaking freezing, but it didn't matter. People were hanging out the windows. The Bears players were on top of the buses. It was, like I said, 5 to 10 degrees out there, but it was a blast. I was laying on the couch, nursing that horrible hangover I had, but it was just the best time. So, I really wish the Bears could get this thing turned around in the next couple of years, because I'm not getting any younger. My son was alive when the Bears were in the 2006 World Series or Super Bowl, which we lost. But he was younger, and he was into it, but not like he is now. So now my dream is to be able to see a Bears Super Bowl win with my son and now my grandson. And mostly my son. I mean, my grandson, he won't be old enough for a while to understand, but my son and me. And I turned my son into a Bears fan, and sometimes he gets pissed at me for it, because he's passionate and he loves them. I mean, when I was his age, I probably said it on this show. I worked with this guy when I was younger, and he hated Mondays when the Bears lost. He was a Bears fan too, but we worked together in this office because he said, "You were just so crabby, Lynn, when the Bears lost." He goes, "So I hated going into work on Mondays." Because I was just so passionate about it. I mean, there was many times that I wanted to pick the big giant piece of furniture TV up and throw it. Thank God back in those days we didn't have these thin little TVs now, because I'm sure I would have done that with one of those, whipped it across the room, because there was many times I was trying to pick that motherfucker up and throw it. But I just wanted to share the experience. It was just so much fun. I mean, that was just such a great memory. And I know people who witnessed that Super Bowl know what I'm talking about. And that's something we want back here again. Illinois deserves it. Bears fans deserve it, and the Chicago Bears organization deserves it, and so does Mama Hallis, because the woman is 98 years old. How much longer is she going to live, people? So wouldn't it be cool to get her one more Super Bowl? It's not going to happen this year, but why not next year? And the best part, it's here in Vegas, baby. So, I just thought you'd enjoy a little trip down memory lane. And they were just so much fun, the Bears. I mean, they really were. They were characters. And these guys back here were all a part of the Bears. And then there's this sign right here, and this is the 1985 Super Bowl Bears. And this ball right here was also, I am so sorry. It was January 26th. My husband's birthday was the day before. See? Pickled. January 26th was the day of the Super Bowl, because I'm looking at it right on the ball here. Yeah. So you could tell I'm a huge fan, and I love that Super Bowl year. So it was the 26th. My husband's birthday was the 25th, so we were celebrating it. Okay. Never mind. So, and then they came home on the 27th, and that's when they had all the buses going down, and people were in the streets. People didn't care that it was 5 degrees out. I mean, it was something else. The only bad thing that is for us in Illinois, not for us in Illinois, for the whole world, was on the 28th, Tuesday, the space shuttle blew up. And it had the teacher on it. It had a civilian. She was a teacher. And when it took off, it blew up. And I'll never forget that. I was at work. I did go to work that Tuesday, and I was working. And somebody had the radio on, and all of a sudden, he just looks at me, and he's like, the space shuttle just blew up. And talk about a buzzkill. And I'm not minimizing it, don't get me wrong, but it did. We were all up here, and then all of a sudden, because that sucked. It really did. But so for a day or two, I was really down, and then I'm like, nope, and we went right back up again. But that was a bit of a buzzkill. But so, you know what? I know we're not going to see a defense because that was the greatest defense that ever played on a field. There's just no doubt about it. And but we can see a Bears team win the Super Bowl, so let's see that, right? So that's my go back to memory lane about the 1985 season, which was just phenomenal. I mean, and then the next year, after they won the Super Bowl, my husband and I went to Platteville because they used to train in Platteville, Wisconsin, and we went up there for a weekend to watch the Bears do a practice. And then, oh my God, it was just great. You got to see them practice, and they talked to people after the game. And then we hit it's college town, very small college town. And then we hit the bars, and I swear to God, the bars, there were several bars, 3 or 4 of them, where you would fall out of one door and you'd fall right into the next bar. And my husband and I did. As a matter of fact, I got a little too drunk, and that night we went out and got some ice cream, and we got kicked out of the ice cream shop because I was being obnoxious. My husband's like, only you would get kicked out of an ice cream shop. And it was pretty damn funny. But, so that's your Super Bowl talk for 1985. So, let's win this game. Let's have some fun on Tuesday. I keep saying I'll sing the Bears victory song if the Bears could ever win a game, but you know what? I guess in some ways it's good they're losing because you don't have to hear my voice, but I really want them to win, and I really want to sing that victory song for you. But so that's it, guys. The being off a whole week really threw me off. It really has. So I'll be back on my game on Tuesday. And then don't forget, I want to thank you all for watching me, as always. And anybody who is watching the second show I'm on now, I'm on a podcast. The tag name is Bears Country Podcast. Bears Country Podcast. And the show name is The Lowdown with Dan and Lynn. And we do them on Wednesday evenings. And he usually downloads them Wednesday night. So you should see him late Wednesday night, if not early or Thursday morning. He wants to do a live show where I think we're going to do a live show. I had to get a new laptop, this is my first show on my new laptop. I had a laptop that was 10 years old and it kept overheating. So it was time to get a new one. So I did that. So I said, yeah, maybe we will, and then if you do a live one, you can go on and write comments and we'll answer them on show. So we might do that. But until we do record them on Wednesdays, again, Bears Country Podcast is the tag, and the show name is The Download with Dan and Lynn. And Dan is awesome. We have a great time. As a matter of fact, we talk too much because I said we got to shorten the length of the show because, and he's like, no, it's great. So we really do have a great time, and he's got some great fans. So thank everybody for watching me. You know how much I appreciate it. I love you guys almost as much as I love my Bears. And as always, I end the show, be kind, love one another, stop hate, let's stick together and help each other out because we're in this together. These times are tough, and they're not going to get any better for a while. So and Bears fans, we're tough people. We're from the Midwest. We're tough boogers. So be kind to each other. Please. And on that note, you know what? Come on, Bears now. I don't care if it's 1 point. I don't care if it's ugly. Just get us a frickin' win on Monday Night Football. Are you ready for some football? Monday Night Football. See, I can't sing. Okay. I love you guys. Go Bears. And as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. See you on Tuesday.